Well, as a lot of you know, I'm coming up on anniversary of my parents passing away. Told this story I don't know how many times, and it doesn't get easier. Whenever I think it's going to be that one time I can say it without tearing up, I tear up. I get choked up. I think a lot of it now is the magnitude of how much it means to other people to hear it, to experiencing me being vulnerable. And so that's where, today I just want to talk about my biggest takeaways from all this, like, yes, I got to experience what really is important, on your deathbed. And it was funny. They were even more concerned about the things that don't matter anymore, about making life easier for me and my sister. And, that stuff just doesn't really matter. Like once you're dead and gone, all those little things don't mean nothing. And it's the takeaways I've learned. It's like everything I've been told throughout my life by my parents now then makes sense when they're gone. And I think a lot of us that struggle with grief, it's really a level of guilt, like maybe you didn't say what you wanted to say, or things like that. But my biggest takeaway is some things I get so like I'm just so proud of myself for understanding, um, is I have learned what it means to establish boundaries. And I can honestly say, y'all, that 52 years I did not know what that meant, nor did I have any boundaries. Anybody in the world that asked for something, even though I had something scheduled, like they needed me to do something, I would drop everything I'm doing to help them. I was so worried about not being liked by the world that I didn't allow boundaries. And so, establishing a boundary has made my life so much easier. Whereas in the past, I think I thought it would make my life harder just because of how people would think of me. Like I always wanted to be helpful to everybody. Um, but it's just incredible the difference. And that's something we've all heard throughout our life. It's important to establish boundaries and things like that. And I don't even know um, if there's a guideline for everybody. I think everybody needs to establish their own boundaries. I don't know that. I guess there can be boundaries with children. I know there's boundaries with siblings. There's boundaries with friends, with work, coworkers, things like that, subordinates, bosses. You got to have boundaries like that, or else it just doesn't. It doesn't make your life any better. So it's I work with. Uh, I consider one of my best friends, Jenny Friedman, and she was many years ago my ADHD coach, and now she's bigger than that. It's like now we both have blossomed into being this person that helps people get more out of their life, right? Whatever if you want to call it, life coach, whatever you want to call it, mentor. But we're doing the same thing. However, I still need her for the things I want to do. And so pretty much last year when I realized where I was, where I wanted to be, when I look back at the things that were working for me back when they were, and then the things I wanted to get done, I knew right away that I needed her in my life to be constantly on the payroll so I could achieve those things, right? Um, and so that's when I started. So she's been working with me, been involved moments before my parents got sick, and then all throughout my grieving period. And so it's like one of those things when I would say just kind of what's bothering me, it's she's a good sounding board. I can just say what's bothering me. And she can just say, hey, it sounds like this, or it sounds like this. And I'm like, oh, you're right. And that's all I need. I only need is for someone to go, you really need to establish boundaries with this person, or else it's always going to, bother you. And when I hear that, I can just go, Roger that, and I fix it. Right. So I think it's important to have people in your life like that, that you can always talk to or kick stuff around with. They don't necessarily need to relate to you, but um, I think most people in my life need to relate to how busy I am and how much I exercise and how important that is to me. But yet, there's a lot of people who don't, that are very important to me, that can give me some clear feedback. Um, I think that's critical to becoming happy. Jenny will be one of my guests on this podcast soon. I've got several guests scheduled. I've got some big names, and I hope it'll be some good conversations. Um, but like I said in an episode in the past, I had stopped drinking, I had stopped taking Ambien, and like I just figured out how to figure out life, right? You never figure out life, but you figure out how to figure it out. And when I figured that out, then, the biggest trauma of losing my parents at the same time hit. And you know what? It was manageable. I was able to figure it out with a clear mind and understand what I was feeling, understand what they were feeling, and just have a um, great experience with it all. I honestly think you have to figure out how to see the good in everything. And throughout my whole life, I can pinpoint all the magnificent, great things that have ever happened. And I think a lot of people don't. I've got this person who she was supposed to have this person speak at their engagement, and he couldn't make it, canceled last minute. And she was upset, like she was angry and upset at this person. And then got me to fill in. I filled in, I showed up, and I mean, I rocked it, right? And I just wanted to, point out that you were mad about that, but it actually, that was a good part of it, that someone else better was able to come in and have a better engaging conversation um, with your coworkers. And I think that's important. So, trying to think, I always lose my train of thought when I get on here. But I think it's important to, go back to boundaries a little bit. Um, boundaries to me, like once you have your rules of like I have rules that I have set up that help me become the best me, right? Like I get up at a certain time, I go to bed at a certain time. I have these rules. I go to eat dinner at a certain time. Like I have these rules that make me feel better. And if I violate these rules or boundaries, then I don't feel as good, or I'm not as on my game the next day. Things like that are just not the same. So I think it's important to not give those up. And, I've got a friend, he um, just recently got, another divorce. And I told him, I was like, the key to all that stuff, relationships, marriages, and all this stuff is to make sure, so many times we go towards another person, like your rebound person, right? But we go too far with a rebound person. We don't just have a rebound and find another relationship. We find a rebound and we just commit to it all the way. Well, then that doesn't work out and we're shocked, or we're not shocked. And you shouldn't be shocked, but you have to fix you first, right? And what I like to tell people is you have to create your own perfect ecosystem, like your biodome, right? For you. And once you have your fully functioning, perfect world where you don't need anybody else in your world, you have to make sure whoever you bring in doesn't disrupt your ecosystem. And meaning, if you don't drink and everything is perfect in your life, you don't bring in an alcoholic or somebody that drinks, somebody casually, or drugs, or whatever it is for you. If you are, you know, celiac, or you can't have gluten, you don't bring someone that eats a lot of gluten. Like, it's just, you got to kind of not disrupt your world by doing that. That wasn't a great analogy, but whatever. But the thing is, you have to figure out how your create your perfect ecosystem, and then only then do you even think about bringing someone into your world, right? So you have to kind of keep that peace. You don't want somebody to come in and destroy your plants, your food, your water. Like, that'll destroy your world. And I think too many of us do that. So that goes back to boundaries. And that once you create your perfect thing, then you have boundaries that people have to um, be okay with them or not okay with them. And boundaries can be something simple, like I don't get on my phone past 8 p.m. or whatever it is, or I get up in the morning. Like, don't, once you have those boundaries, you have to abide by them. And I have people all the time that'll ask if I can help with this or this. And unless I schedule it and it can be done in a few days when I can get to it, great. Otherwise, I can't drop everything anymore and just go rush and handle their one little thing that they could probably figure out themselves. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying in general. Um, you gotta establish your boundaries, and then you gotta follow through with it. So I always lose my thought here, but soon you guys can interact with me more regularly, and we can I can have you on here as a guest if you want to be. If you have something good to say that's captivating, or if you just want to ask me questions, we can do that. But till then, thanks for tuning in, guys. Subscribe, like, share, but understand with the boundary in mind. Bye.